Good evening, Instagram, and welcome to another well overdue Fight to Inspire interview. All being well, Sarah will be joining me very shortly. We'll be able to reminisce and try and work out just how long it was since our last one. And then our guest of honour this evening, Dan, will be joining us. And some of you that have followed Carl's interviews for a while will remember Dan from, God, must have been nearly 3 years ago now. But he is talking about something in the pool goodness. Still swimming related, but to say this is a slightly harder challenge, I think would be underplaying it. So I'll be very interested, as I'm sure you will, to hear more about that, the details of the challenge itself and what he's up to. As ever, our first challenge for us is going to be getting technology sorted, getting Sarah on the live, and then hopefully getting Dan on as well. Otherwise, it's a long time of me trying to fill in the gaps and talk. I'm pressing accept, Sarah. I'm trying my best here. At this rate, it might be a two-show with Dan and I if he jumps on first. You've got to love Insta technology, haven't you? For those that haven't caught up, I know you're trying. Those that haven't caught up with my previous one with Dan, if you have a look through the interviews I did, and as I said, it must have been about 3 years ago now. I'm just going to try and invite Sarah and do it separately. See, that's how long it's been. She's unable to join any of these now. Dan, I'm going to try and bring you in at the same time, just in case there's tech issues on one side. But it won't let me send it again. Well, see, Dan's managed to sort it, Sarah. It's just you then.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. So I'm hoping Sarah's able to join. Otherwise, she's literally going to sit back with a brew and everything she was planning to ask and say, I've got to try and remember, including my bits as well.
Hopefully she figures it out. Sometimes tech problems.
Well, I've had a couple of, I mean, we've done loads of these together, Sarah and I, but you have people trying to join up different devices or pressing the wrong buttons, but she officially has no excuses whatsoever. To try again. I was looking, it was nearly 3 years ago when we did our initial chat.
Yeah, I think it was like during COVID or during lockdown. Yeah, which was a funny time, and it seems like a long time ago, but I enjoyed the chat, so it'd be good to maybe touch on some of the stuff we mentioned before, but then also speak about what we've both been up to. I saw that you were running the London Marathon. Very good job.
Running's a generous description. I was getting rounds.
How many marathons have you done now? Because that must be quite a few.
That was number 41 in just over 3 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
But and I did my first one back in 2019. I said, I'm never doing another one of these again. They're horrid. And you know what it's like? You just kind of charity gets involved, you get challenges, and before you know it, one thing leads to another and you're doing lots more of them.
That's incredible. What's your best time then? How fast have you been? Or
never quick. I think my best time is probably about 4.25 hours, but most of it is because I do stupid things like I did 10 in 10 days, or I did one carrying a 26-pound dumbbell, or you'll be pleased with this one, I did Edinburgh in a kilt. That's some chafing on the back of that.
Yeah, I've been known to run around Edinburgh in a kilt now and then as well. That's awesome.
Well, sad for whatever reason it keeps, and Sarah, I can see the request to join and come through, so we'll keep trying, but in the interest of keeping people entertained, we'll proceed on, and then hopefully she'll come in at the right moment.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I suppose actually, given the fact that it was us talking about the your journey into the swimming, all the rest of it, it's probably not bad for us to start doing that anyway. If we do it, so for those that don't know anything about you whatsoever, let alone the challenge you got coming up, you just give us a couple of career highlights and why you're even talking to me today.
Yeah, a couple career highlights. Well, I've been a swimmer for as long as I can remember. Started off when I was about 10 years old and continued up until I was 25 years young. And yeah, swimming was very kind to me. I felt very lucky that I was able to reach the kind of highs of the sport, competing at 2 Commonwealth Games for Team Scotland in both Glasgow and Gold Coast I guess a highlight from Glasgow is probably winning gold in front of a home crowd. And then from there, going on to win gold at World Championships, as well as multiple finals. And then I guess the pinnacle was representing Team GB at the 2016 Olympic Games, which as a swimmer is kind of always the goal, is to represent your country at the highest level. And I feel very lucky that I've been able to do that. It feels like a long time ago now that I was able to do that, but it's nice to sometimes kind of look back on that. And I guess, I don't like to use the word retired, but I stopped competing back in 2018 after my second Commonwealth Games, and kind of took a step away from sport in general, because it was very intense, and I felt like I needed to channel my energy in something else. But full circle, I'm now back involved in swimming, and I'm swimming further than I used to swim, and I'm doing it for different reasons. So it's swimming, I guess. I don't think I can escape it. It's what I've realized recently, and I'm okay with that. There was a time where I was like, this has been so intense and so prominent in my life that I need to do something different, and I am doing things different, but I am also slowly finding myself back in the swimming community. So we can kind of touch on that for sure.
So it's funny, is it, how, if you think you started swimming, I think I remember you saying you're about 9 years old, this skinny lad with your brothers, and then you building up, got half decent in Scotland, went over to the States, again exposed them to, dare I say, it must have been quite a shock for them, especially being in Florida. This pasty ginger kid comes out and so gets raised, I'm here to do some swimming.
Yeah, absolutely. I started swimming, as you just touched on there, like with my siblings. And it was very much just like an enjoyable thing. Well, swimming definitely runs in our family. My mum and my auntie, great swimmers. My older sister and my younger sister are both swimming teachers, or have been swimming teachers. My youngest sister, who I think might be listening to this call because she keeps WhatsApping me to mention her, is a fantastic swimmer.
Okay.
And she should stick at it. So Lily, if you're listening, you're a great swimmer as well. Probably number 2 in the family. But swimming is in our blood, and I've always loved it. And as you said, like, I was never like, I guess, this massive, big physical young swimmer. I was just really committed to it. I loved it and I enjoyed it, and I tried to continue that same mindset the whole way through. Kind of going out to Florida is probably when I started to take things a bit more seriously. And just to kind of give you a bit more background about that move, was maybe about 18 years old, and that's when I started to see some results in swimming. I started to see the hard work and the dedication kind of slowly paying off in like the junior levels, and I thought, okay, let's take this seriously. I want to go and train with the best swimmers in the world, and I was very naive at the time, didn't really know much about the international swimming community or kind of where the best swimmers were. So I literally googled where the fastest swimmer in the world was for my event, and he trained at Florida, and I was like, I'm going there, because I wanted to be surrounded by the best of the best. And I was very lucky that it paid off, and I had a fantastic career from there. And it's nice to kind of look back on those times, but it's nice to always kind of speak very highly of swimming and what it's done for me. And now I'm kind of thinking, what can I do for swimming, which is quite nice.
And obviously, when we did speak, he'd retired at 24, which I suppose is as good as age as any to retire, isn't it? It's not bad. And the plan was at the time, explore swimming almost as a business, trying to give other people that exposure to it, and really put the feelers out what else was there. But you also, since we did that, had a significant period away from social media altogether, didn't you?
Yes, I did. So I kind of did take a bit of a step away from sport and from swimming and from, I guess, social media, but it's actually not as an exciting story as you think. The reason that I wasn't on Instagram was
make it more exciting.
Yeah, we can make it more exciting, but the reason that I wasn't on Instagram for like 2.5 years was because my Instagram got hacked. That was it. So believe me, I wanted to update you guys, but I couldn't. Some people maybe like that. Some people were maybe missing me, but but it was quite nice. I spent a few years actually down in London, kind of trying to figure out what it is I want to be doing after sport. And then you know, I've actually come around full circle back into sport again. So it's nice to be, I mean, I quite enjoy making content as well, and
Yeah.
swimming is a great way that allows me to do that. I now live up in Scotland, in a place called North Berwick, just outside Edinburgh, right on the coast. I'm now mad for wild swimming, cold swimming, outdoor swimming. So it's been nice to do that and actually share that on Instagram and social media, and kind of use that as a bit of a platform. Because I was obviously quite interested in coming from like a high performance pool background into a bit more of a, you know, wild social outdoor swimmer, but obviously still with that competitive edge has been quite nice to do. So yeah, definitely kind of had a unique journey, and I think it's only growing from here.
And this might seem a fairly obvious question, but how different is it from doing that competitive swimming in the pool to actually getting out in the open water?
Well, what's quite nice is when I go swimming, I can now get out whenever I want. Whereas in the past, my coach was like, "You're in for 2 hours, and you're
Yeah.
working hard, and you're doing this, and you're doing that." So it's nice to be able to do it on my own terms now. But it's a different. I mean, I'm doing it for a different reason. So beforehand, I was swimming because I wanted to be as fast as I could be and be as good as I could be, and I wanted to compete and compare myself against the best in the world.
Yeah.
That was the job description. Whereas now that I've been lucky enough to be able to do that and do quite well there, I can now find other ways to enjoy swimming. And I've seen it firsthand as well. I've obviously done quite a lot of coaching in my years, and I've coached 3-year-olds how to swim. I've coached triathletes. I've coached adults. I've coached OAPs. I've helped people get through rehab. I've coached in every single way. And what I've learned from that is that everybody swims for different reasons. But for 15 years, my reason, and maybe what I thought most people's reason for swimming was to be the best. But that's like 1% of it. You know, that's a small margin of people are swimming to be the best swimmers.
Yeah.
A lot of people swim for social, for community, for fitness, for just a reason to get out of the house as well. Like, I go to my local pool here, and it's such a lovely little place to go. You've got a couple of triathletes, you've got some people trying to maybe get in shape, you've got, you know, your locals that come around and they all know each other and they're chatting away in the showers. And it's nice to see the swimming community as a whole and not just like that high performance side of it. So I'm now maybe slightly further out of that now, and I can go and I'm trying to be I'm trying to, I guess, be welcomed into the cold water and outdoor swimming community, and it's a great community to be a part of. And I do enjoy getting in. And what's quite nice is you can go, and when you're swimming outdoors, you can pick and choose when you go and where you go, and that's quite nice because you can go. Like, I quite like chasing sunsets and sunrises and going when it's like a really nice day, and it's just super picturesque, and you kind of just get quite a euphoric feeling. And you know, I think it stimulates you in a completely different way than staring at the bottom of the pool at a black line for 30 hours a week did. So I'm nice to be on the other side of it.
You make it sound really appealing, but I think if you get in one small part, and just comparable water temperatures between the local pool and the open water in Scotland, is it?
Yeah, it's a very big difference in water temperature. I'm kind of now getting my head around being in water like 6 degrees, which as a skinny little Scottish lad is quite hard to get your head around, and I've just had to thicken my skin a little bit and grit my teeth and just accept that it's going to be a bit colder. But that's the challenge. That's the challenge that I get out of it, is going there and get myself up for it and being like, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable, but I'm okay with that. That's why I'm here. It's like when it's similar to when I was training. Like, I knew that training session was going to be hard, but I was doing it for a reason. So, and I had agreed to do that session. So I was going to work hard and I was going to be okay with the pain. It's exactly the same now in the cold water. Like, I made a decision. No one's making me come here. I made the decision to come down here today and swim for 10 minutes in 10 degrees. And it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to feel really good afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel like I've accomplished something. I'm going to feel fresh and awake and alive. And I think that's kind of what's really nice about it.
No, I like it. My open water swimming is very limited to once a year on Christmas Day, I do a quick swim. And I kind of come out blue and thinking, right, that's me for another whole year. I'm good.
Yeah. Some people, I guess I was similar though. Like, I've never really had an urge to swim in the open water and in the freezing cold seas much. And I grew up by the seaside,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really bothered by it. But it obviously, like everybody else, you've seen it. There's a massive surge in people that now are interested in cold water swimming and outdoor swimming, and it's nice to be part of that movement and that community. But yeah, I was similar to you. I would try and, I would go in on Christmas or like on a Looney Duke on the 1st of January, and that was kind of about it. And now I find myself in every other day, which is quite interesting.
So for those not aware, what is the upcoming challenge you've got then?
Yeah, so I guess the reason that I am doing all this mental cold water training, and the reason I am getting back into swimming, is that I am swimming the English Channel this summer as part of a relay team of 5 swimmers. So 4 swimmers that I have trained with throughout the years. 2 of them, Ross and Jordan from Edinburgh, who I swam with as teenagers. And then we have Harrison and Jack, who I swam with at the University of Florida. So the 5 of us are taking on the challenge. We're obviously all come from a high performance swimming background, so the standard of swimmers on the team is fairly high. So we're certainly looking to impress when it comes to the time and how quick we can get across, if we do get across, because there's a lot of outside factors that can play into that. But really the real reason we're doing it is that we're trying to use our shared passion and experience in swimming as a vehicle for good, and to try and make this swim about more than just ourselves, and try and, I guess, raise as much awareness and money for 2 causes that we've picked that are very close to the team. So we're raising money for Cancer Research UK, which is obviously, a massive charity here in the UK, and unfortunately cancer impacts almost all of us in some way or another, whether it's firsthand or if it's indirect. And we all know someone that has suffered from cancer-related illnesses and diagnoses. So it's something that we really wanted to make sure we captured it in our project. And the second cause we have, which is a bit more of an international cause, is we are raising money for the Ukrainian refugee crisis as well. So Jack, who is on the team, Jack Blazinski, you can probably tell by his second name, he actually does have Ukrainian roots. So his grandfather, I believe, was born in Ukraine and actually fled Ukraine as a refugee during, it must have been the Second World War. And so Jack has that personal reason to be doing this, and we all got on board with that. And, collectively, what's incredible is we've actually already raised over £80,000 for split between the 2 charities, which is an incredible amount of money. And we're really using that as a kind of driving factor just to keep going and see how far we can take it. Our original goal for the charity and for the swim was to raise £1 for every metre we swim, which would be anywhere between kind of £35,000. Now, obviously, we've surpassed that. We've tripled that almost, which is super exciting. And I think the goalposts have moved. And that's kind of just fueled us on even more, and the passion, the motivation is there, and we want to just see how big we can make this. It's not just about 5 swimmers swimming across the channel, it's about what we can do for others as well, which is really nice.
No, it's fantastic, and I love it. It's a really powerful why. And I guess when it is you're training in the cold, the dark, when it's absolutely horrid, that's going to be your bit that draws you and says, you know what, I'm still going to do this for that reason. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think we tried to figure out what our why was really early on, and we do have a really strong reason we're doing it. And we actually had a Zoom call, because we've been treating this swim as almost like a business, almost like a project. We've been having Zoom calls every week together. We've been speaking to professionals that have either fundraised before or have done charity events before or have done the channel crossing before as well. So we spoke to a swimmer called Kerry-Ann Payne, who is a multiple world champion, triple Olympian, open water expert, essentially, and a good friend of mine. So I spoke to Kerry-Ann, and we kind of just, she asked us, when you finish the channel, how do you want to feel? What feeling do you want to have? And we all kind of came up with the feeling that we want to feel like we've been able to give everything during the swim, but we've made the swim bigger than just ourselves. And that was the reason we were like, we need to do something that's more than just for us. We would need to do something for others. So that was a really nice decision to make, and a really nice realization that we had pretty early on. And that's kind of been the driving force and driving factor around this. The reason that we are, brushing off the goggles and getting back in the pool at 6 a.m. before work isn't because we felt that we had unfinished business. It's that we found another reason to love swimming again, and that we found another reason that swimming is once again our purpose, which is really nice, because I don't want to speak on behalf of the other boys, but I certainly thought that swimming was maybe a closed book now for me. But I think that there might be a few more chapters without sounding too cheesy. But yeah, it's exciting.
And it's interesting because obviously I've done a couple of charity bits as well, and I think that approach is the only way to make it successful. To look at it and work out every conceivable way to get the maximum out of your fundraising, because it's why you're doing it, isn't it, to raise money for the charity.
Yeah.
And clearly the difference between, we were talking earlier, is I've done a couple of marathons and bits, but the swimming the channel, there must be so many different complexities and considerations. It's not just like when you're in the pool, you have to compete against those left and right. Nature's throwing a fair few spanners in the works as well.
Yeah, I think that when so Jack was the original, he was the original person that said, let's swim the channel. He phoned me. I said, sounds great. I phoned a few more people. We then got our team together, and at that point we didn't know what it took to swim the channel. We thought, yeah, we rock up to Dover and we, maybe we hire a boat and we swim across. It's a lot harder than that. You got to go jump through a few more hoops, and it's also a lot more challenging than that. So just to paint the picture, we will be swimming with no wetsuit on, because you're not allowed a wetsuit. So we're going to be battling water temperatures anywhere between 8 and 16 degrees, depending on what the weather's been like and how deep the water is and where we are in the channel. We'll also be battling the busiest shipping lane in the world, or one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. We'll be battling jellyfish, debris, strong currents, especially coming into France. The currents are incredibly difficult at times, and we'll also be leaving at 3 o'clock in the morning. And don't ask me why. I still don't know why, but that's what we've been told. We need to be ready at 2 a.m. in the water for 3, which means the first 2-3 swimmers are probably going to be swimming in pitch black. And I don't know about you, but I'm used to swimming in a nice lit warm pool, and now I'm swimming in the middle of the ocean in pitch black, and it's quite daunting to think about that. But what we like about that is it is a completely new challenge for us. Yeah, we're all, experienced swimmers, and we can all hold our own in the water, but there's things that we haven't done yet that we're going to have to face, like the cold, like the currents, like swimming in the middle of the ocean. We've all done, your local sea dips where you're maybe 100 meters off the shore at one point, but like we're going to be in the middle of the ocean, which is going to be quite a surreal experience, and we're really looking forward to it. There's obviously a lot of outside factors that are going to come into play on whether or not this swim will be a success. I think it will be a success no matter what, because of what we've already achieved, but we obviously, we're there to make a statement. We're there to swim fast and swim hard, and we're definitely going to do that, but there's going to be a lot of things that I guess try and stop us in a way. So we're ready for the challenge.
Just the visions, those first couple of people in pitch black, anything they touch that feels a bit weird, what it is.
You're gonna freak out if a little bit of seaweed touches your leg or whatever, because your mind plays tricks on you. Everyone gets a little bit freaked out in the sea. We all do, even me, who's in there every day. If something touches my leg, I'm getting out of there. So you can imagine what it's going to be like when you can't even see a meter in front of you. All you can see is the lights of the boat next to you. It's going to be quite an experience.
And there's 5 of you doing it. So how are you breaking down the relay then? How are you going to manage it?
Yeah, so the way that it works is you have one swimmer in the water at a time. Other boys are on the boat, as well as your pilot and your channel swimming assessor, who makes sure that you're doing everything by the book. And the way that it works is you have one swimmer in the water who rotates on the hour every hour. So you do 1 hour at a time, and you just rotate throughout the team until you touch land, until you hit Calais, which is going to be, it's going to be interesting, because the currents are different at each stage, the temperatures are different, the light is different, and you've got to check, you've got to announce your order before you start, and you've got to stick to that order. So say swimmer number 3 does their swim, and then they're feeling a little bit seasick, or they're feeling unwell, and they go, I think I can't continue, then that's a race over. You've got to stick to your order, you've got to stick to your team numbers. There's also quite a few rules that we didn't realize, like, first of all, not wearing a wetsuit.
Yeah.
That's quite difficult. It means that the cold is going to be an intense factor from the get-go. Obviously, swimming in the dark, you cannot touch the boat for any reason. You cannot hold on to the boat, or you cannot touch another swimmer. So there's quite a few rules that you have to kind of play by, and which makes it all quite official as well. And we quite like that. Like, it's not just something that anybody can rock up and do. And then I guess as well, it's worth mentioning that even just to be given the opportunity to be on there on the days, you have to have actually done a 2-hour qualifier, which it has to be done at under 16 degrees. So we're only doing 1 hour at a time on the actual event, but we have to be able to prove that we've done a 2-hour qualifying swim beforehand, which is going to be quite a challenge. And that has to be done at least 3 weeks before the swim. So, you know, in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to have to do that. And we're all kind of building up towards that. So that's like a 2-hour continuous swim in just your swimsuit. So that's going to really give us a good indication on where we are fitness-wise and acclimatization-wise as well. Because when you swim for over 30 minutes in water below 15 degrees, your core temperature is actually going to start dropping. And you have to fight, and you have to burn calories, and you have to burn fuel to keep that up. And that's extremely difficult to do. It takes a lot out of you. So that 2-hour qualifying swim is arguably harder than the channel crossing itself, other than the fact it can be in a bit more of a controlled environment. You can go to your local lake or loch or wherever it is, open water swimming venue. But, you know, when we're in the middle of the channel, you're not going to have lifeguards, and you're not going to have little pontoons that you can swim up to. It's going to be you in the ocean, and that's quite exciting.
And you said about obviously all these rules, regulations around it. Is that purely for the channel swim, or is that also to get the record if you manage to be the fastest team?
That's just the Channel Swimming Association rules. So everybody has to play by those rules. There's probably, you know, say someone gets ill halfway through and you want to continue, they would probably allow you to do it, but you just wouldn't be registered as an official crossing. And obviously, you know, we haven't really said that we're like going to break a record, but we're also aware that like we're a pretty good team, and it would be rude for us not to at least know what the record is in the back of our mind. But, you know, there's been some incredible channel swims before. I was looking at the records. There's records for like swimming at butterfly and swimming it 3 or 4 times in a row. And, you know, we're obviously not doing anything as crazy as that. But I think that the relay record is held by the US Olympic team. So if we beat that, something's probably gone wrong, to be honest. We maybe miscounted or something, because that's going to be very hard to do. But we're up for the challenge. We're not gonna have any half measures. We're gonna definitely go for this and see what we can achieve.
Isn't it just over 30 years old as well, the US record?
Yeah, it's been standing for a while. So, you know, maybe it's time for it to get beaten, but I'm not gonna say it's gonna be us, but we're gonna get a good crack.
Can you see, because Sarah's put a question up, can you see that bottom of the screen as well, can you?
I cannot see the question.
Okay. She said, tell us more about the team. You must have similar values.
Yes. Okay, great question. So, yeah, as I said, I'm actually the only one that swam with everybody in the team. 2 of the boys from Edinburgh have not swam with the boys in Florida before, but I guess I'm like the middleman when it comes to the connection. But, you know, we all swam in high-performance teams. We all dedicate hundreds of hours to swimming, so we all know what it kind of takes to be, you know, to reach the levels that we all got to, and we all got to slightly different levels, but, you know, each to our own. We all did very, very well. So what we all share is not the swimming ability, but actually the mindset, and the mindset that we were able to develop as high performance athletes, the grit and determination, and I think that just the willpower to give this everything we can. You know, some of the boys in the team, including me, in fact, before this we hadn't really swam in about 3 or 4 years, but, you know, we decided to do this, and we found our why, and then overnight it was like, okay, let's go. And it was back to the way we used to be. It was giving this 110% effort, and I don't think we'll ever lose that. So we certainly do share the same values and the same mindset around how we are approaching not just the training, but the project as a whole as well. We all, now that we have all, matured and grown up and had lived a few lives since our teenage swimming days. We've all developed our own skills and attributes, and it's been amazing to kind of work collectively as a team. And we are kind of scattered around the world right now. I'm up here in Edinburgh along with our videographer. 3 of the boys are based down in London, and we've got Harrison, who's based in New York. So there's certainly an international element there, but there's also, we've never felt like we're disconnected as a team. We all know each other quite well. We're all keeping each other accountable as well. That's something that we made sure from the get-go is, if I'm doing a training session, I want to make sure the boys know that how it's gone. We've got WhatsApp groups, we've got Google Drives with the sessions we've been doing, and we're really trying to make sure we all feel like we've got the support of one another. That's what's quite nice about doing this as a relay. And I would love to personally do an individual channel crossing, and that might be something I do later on in life. But right now, to be able to share this with, 4 of my best friends and 4 of my teammates, and for us all to feel the support of one another is going to be a reason that I think this is going to be a success either way. So it's nice to kind of have that camaraderie and that connection as a team. And yeah, we are all very aligned in how we approach not just this, but I guess life as well.
I'm hoping as well, you said about all these WhatsApp chat, it's presumably it's going to be slightly more interesting than swam for a bit, bloody cold. Yeah, another cold swim.
I mean, we're guys, we're blokes, we're not got many few words, but yeah, we keep each other in check. We keep each other motivated as well. We've got good news. Like right now we're looking for corporate sponsors and brands to work with, and we've had some amazing success so far. So today, for example, we had a really great call with a swimwear brand that are going to support us on the journey, and we keep each other updated with these kind of things, and it's really nice. And as I said, we're on calls most Sundays, every Sunday night. I'm like, I've got to do a Zoom call with the channel boys, and it's nice to just keep each other in check and understand where we all are, making sure we're all training well, making sure we're feeling confident in where we are as a team as well, because it's hard to kind of lose that. We develop those skills in swimming as teenagers and young adults, and I think we're always going to have that we thrive in team situations. We thrive in high pressure environments, and it's nice to kind of lean into those skills again.
It's during this stage that Sarah would have fed it. Being a former elite athlete herself, taekwondo, could have spoken about the discipline, the ethos, and everything else. So yeah, I'll attempt to do elements of it justice as she sits there seething, Instagram down. But I do remember actually when we spoke previously, one of the things was that kind of mental strength and resilience that you didn't have at a young age, but you grew into, and then really be able to use that and channel it into from the hard training sessions that then converted into performing on the day.
Yeah, it's certainly, swimming and high performance sport has shaped who I am and who we all are as individuals. It's something that I feel very lucky to be a part of, high performance teams or not even just high performance teams, but just team environments in a sporting setting. I think is so valuable. It's something that all my siblings have experienced before, and I can see that in them, how sport has helped them develop into really strong characters. So that's something that just comes with the dedication that you show and the commitment, and it's nice to tap into that. And we're definitely gonna have to show those characteristics during the swim. When if it's choppy or strong currents and we're tired, it's like we're gonna have to be resilient, we're gonna have to be tough, but we've been there before. So it's nice to kind of reignite that side of us. But what we've also found is that we all share these experiences from quite a few years ago, but we all carry those characteristics through with us later in life. When we're at work or just living our day-to-day life, we are the people that sport made us to be, if that makes sense. So it's nice to kind of lean on those skills that we developed as athletes.
And it does. It makes complete sense. I mean, again, as Sarah would say, but I've been lucky enough to be around a lot of Olympians over the years, and that mindset never leaves you. It's why it sounds a bit cliche, but once you compete at that level, you always keep that with you no matter what you do. And a perfect example, we did, it's about 18 months ago, did a burpees world record. and I had Dean Macy on with me, former Olympian, and the same thing. You can just see him switch into that zone, and that was it. And no matter how broken he was, how horrid he was, you still saw him pushing out the numbers and doing it.
Yeah, it's incredible what you can do. It's like the power of the mind, you know. And I think that we just taught ourselves how to get the best out of each other and get the best out of ourselves. And it's nice to kind of just lean on those skills again. It's something that hopefully we'll always have, and I think that's why sport is so important, especially at a young age. And you know, I love being in team environments, and I get the question all the time, like, is swimming an individual sport or a team sport? And you know, maybe a lot of time on the day when it comes to competing, it might be an individual, but you know, we're training 20-30 hours a week as a team, so it's certainly a team sport in my eyes. And I feel very lucky that I've been a part of some great teams and it's kind of made me who I am today.
And presumably this, doing it at the relay, makes that even more so, doesn't it? Because if one person doesn't perform, touches the boat, or breaches any of the rules you said, that's the chat. I'm not going to say it's failed, but not achieved in the way you wanted. So it's critical you're all there mutually supporting each other.
Yeah, it has to be like a well-oiled machine. And I think that's why we've been communicating so much, because I'm very lucky that I already know the four boys so well, but you know, the other two sides, they had to kind of get to know each other. So we wanted to make sure that we're not just rocking up to Dover as kind of just a makeshift team. Like, we know each other's strengths, we know what we've all been doing these last kind of few months, so we all understand that we all have a role to fill, and we're all of very slightly different abilities, but we all know what we can personally achieve. And I think that a well-run team is when your individuals understand their role, and what that role can do for the common team. So that's really nice to have been able to, I guess, understand is what we can all do individually that's going to contribute to the overall success of the team.
No, definitely. I've got a slightly lighter question to ask. What I'll say to anyone watching, if there's anything you want to ask, post it in the chat just so Dan can answer. But a couple for you, Dan. The first one is, given the fact you're now going to swim without your wetsuit on, are you going to paint a white cross down yourself so when you go blue, you can be properly Scottish in the English Channel?
Yeah, that would be a good idea, actually. Maybe I'll put Vaseline in a certain direction that I can represent the saltire cross of Scotland. But yeah, maybe some sun cream, because we're all actually pasty, or three of us are pasty white Scottish boys. So maybe if we get some good weather, we could get a nice wee tan line. But yeah, like, that's the thing though. We take this very seriously, and it has been very seriously. But at the end of the day, man, for me, it's like four of my best friends, and we're swimming across the channel, and we've got a production team recording all of it. We're going to make memories for life. And I think that, you know, as serious as the project has been, it's always nice to realize that this is, at the end of the day, is going to be an extremely fun day, and probably something we're going to remember for the rest of our lives.
And then my other question for you is, I was looking at the Meter by Meter website.
Yeah.
The individuals, it's wonderfully powerful bios and everything else. And then you've given Harrison 20 words at the end of it.
I know. Well, that's something I've been pestering him for. I was like, because we all wrote our own we all wrote our own bios, and Harrison's was short and sweet. But you know, we're all very different individuals, which is really nice. And some of us like to shout about what we've done and who we are. And I guess maybe Harrison's just the most humble, but he's a fantastic guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again.
And for those watching either live, or if you manage to catch up with this, when I looked at it just before, the team were on £80,786. So in terms of small win, would it be nice to be able to get you up to 81k just by this little interview? And then, as I understand it, you're doing it some stage between the 9th and the 15th of June. Will the exact day depend on everything from the weather conditions, kind of the ideal time for you?
Yeah, so the way that it works is we'll probably get a heads up 72 hours before from our pilot, who I believe is called Pete Reed. He's been a pilot for the Channel Crossing for years and years. So he'll give us a heads up about 72 hours before, saying, listen guys, it's looking like it might be towards the end of that week, so we'll maybe delay our arrival into Dover. And then, you know, 40 hours before, he'll say, okay, right guys, it's going to be on the 13th. So it's anywhere, it can happen anywhere in between the 9th and the 15th. And yes, it is very much weather dependent, current dependent. So because that's going to it's got to be safe, you know, like
Of course.
we can't go out in too rough of waters, not even so that it might be unsafe for us, but we don't want to start it and get halfway and then we knew it was going to be bad weather at the end and the bad weather has actually caused us to not complete it. That would be a real shame. So you have to kind of pick and choose the dates that you go for and be quite strategic around it. But we're going to be ready. I mean, we're ready now. You know, we're ready to go. If we got a call tomorrow, we'd show up and we'd do it and we'd give it a good bash.
And have you got, presumably apart from friends and family, you've got any media down there? So those watching respectively might be able to see photo, video, images, anything on the back of it?
Yeah, so we've actually teamed up with a production company who are going to be documenting the entire journey and going to be creating a short film around it. But certainly on the day, there's going to be plenty to keep up with as far as like live trackers, live Instagram and Facebook updates, just let you know kind of how we're doing, maybe sharing some behind the scenes as well, because it's not every day that your mates get to swim across the channel. So we're going to try and share that with friends and family as much as we can. There's obviously been quite a lot of media and press engagement so far already, and certainly kind of the week of as well. We're looking to kind of make quite a lot of noise nationally across all media outlets, online newspapers, TV, and kind of radio as well. So there's going to be loads from now until then to keep up with, and then on the day we're going to try and, you know, make you guys feel like you're on the boat with us or in the water with us,
Whether we want to or not.
Yeah.
And I suppose the last thing, I mean, Sarah's asked another interesting question. When times do get really tough and hard, have you kind of got a go-to self-talk or something to draw you, or is that back onto the why that we discussed before?
Yeah, I think that the why will be that little reassurance that we need when times are hard. I mean, if you say you're in the water and you're going through a tough spell, you're going to look to your right and you're going to see a boat filled with your mates. That's going to be a real driving factor to help your motivation. You're also going to realize that this isn't just about you. It's about what this project has achieved and what this project stands for. That's going to be another driving factor around it. But also, you know, touching what we just spoke about there, like we've all been in those dark places before. Swimming has taught us how to get through them. That's not just in swimming and in sport, that's also in life as well. So swimming has taught us how to be resilient, how to be tough, and we're gonna lean on those skills as much as we need to during the swim. But I don't want an easy ride, you know. I don't want it to be glassy water and sunny. I don't mind a little bit of chop. I think we're ready for a bit of a dramatic crossing. That's kind of what we're accustomed to and what we're ready for.
I will remind you of that afterwards when...
Yeah. No, I just shot myself in the foot.
And also, you said, I might swim it solo at some stage. I'm also reminding you of this chat.
Yeah, I know I mentioned that in an interview, I think it was a few days ago, and I'm like, oh, what have I said? But I think that, you know, for me, like, this is just another part of my swimming journey, which has been nice, and I'm doing a lot more things in the swimming world again, certainly focused on outdoor swimming and cold water swimming, and I'm even doing a little bit of a competitive side of that as well. And I would like to kind of see if there is a little bit left in me. I've got a really good friend called Andy Donaldson who's currently doing a series of channel crossings around the world. He's trying to be the first swimmer to ever do the 7 major channel crossings within 1 year, and he just broke the British record for the solo English Channel crossing. And it's super inspiring. It's amazing because I swam with him as a child, as a teenager. But I would love to give a crack at that record. So, Andy, I might be coming for you.
I love it as well that you're not even 30 yet. You said, well, you know, I might have a little bit of swimming left in me.
Yeah, well, actually, you say that. I actually turned 30 last week, so I am 30 now. But yeah, I guess basically it took like 5 years off, and now I feel refreshed again and ready to go. And then, you know, but it's nice to find a purpose again, or see swimming as a passion again. For a while, it was really intense, and I kind of wanted to take a step away from it. But now it's like, yeah, I think I've got something left to give, and I can get something more out of swimming. And what's nice about this project is this is kind of me not giving back to swimming, but using swimming as a way to give back, which is really, really nice. It helps me sleep at night.
No, I love it. Well, Dan, thank you for your time this evening. I know everyone watching and those that will be on catch up later wish you and all the boys the very best of luck, and really hope first and foremost, do you succeed and do the challenge and raise the money? I mean, it'd be amazing if you break the record, but I think the most thing is let's get that money raised and get you across the water. What we'll do is we will catch up with you afterwards, you and some of the team.
Yeah.
You can give us some of the more horrific side of what you went through.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I appreciate taking the time today to speak, and hopefully, you know, what I shared was interesting to some people. And yeah, just right now, if anyone is listening, like, the support means so much to us. The fundraising and donations keep coming in, and it's super inspiring to see how many people can kind of understand why we're doing this and what we want to achieve. And we couldn't do it without everybody's support. So thanks for everyone that has supported, and hopefully this message will kind of continue to circulate, and we can try and help as many people as we can through the power of sport.
I'll be honest, it's very inspiring. I find it interesting. Am I going to jump in the water and start doing open water swimming? Perhaps not.
I'll do it for you, don't worry.
Thank you, that's very kind of you.
No worries,
But
thanks for having me.
I will post the link to your pages within the chat description of this, Dan. So for anyone that wants to or can donate, or indeed anyone that knows any corporates that can support, because they've got a long way to go still. It's an ambitious target.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I appreciate the support there, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
Take care, Dan. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.